So you want me to continue on something specific?
Maybe Rasa dance is something like most top of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And sometimes they cooperation when devotee go on street and distribute books, and they say this is like Rasa dance. And can you explain how it's, what is this different? The connection?
Who said that?
But sometimes they will hear that this is same like.
Now we can back it up from Srila Prabhupada. But this is extremely confidential. But he writes in one letter that the service of book distribution is on the level of the service of the gopis to Krishna in Vrindavan. So according to that, Lamachita should walk with sari on the street and then, going Radhe Radhe. No. This is highly confidential matters, and personally I wouldn't even dare to meditate about that. This is so beyond our reach. Now I will say something controversial, as usually. This is beyond everybody's reach. Who wants to dash into Krishna's most intimate chambers and explore what he's doing there? We can hear about it. Srila Prabhupada, in a very chaste and uncompromising way, gave it to us like a nectar of devotion, descriptions. Chaitanya Charitamrita, descriptions of the most intimate pastimes of the Lord. But Lord Chaitanya himself, personally performing actually these pastimes in a garb of a devotee, he forbade us to go public with this. So this whole issue, this whole department, is something one can read, pay obeisances to it, close the book, and that's it. We are sadhana bhaktas. We are trying every day to wake up and control our senses. We are working on a quite basic platform. And those, as is stated, there's a beautiful saying amongst kamis, the fools dash in where the angels don't dare. So the fools will immediately go into this. And Srila Prabhupada was very heavily fighting that for a good fee, there is a professional reciters even of Bhagavatam in India. They will, if you pay them nicely, they will make a whole 1-week seminar on discussing Rasa Leela and intimate pastime of the Lord. Therefore, even Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva is compiled by one canto after another, establishing Krishna's personality first. And then, 10th canto, comes the intimate pastimes of the Lord. Radharani's name is practically barely mentioned. It's in a hidden form. It's not even discussed widely. And we know we are here by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and so this is such a confidential, intimate things. And this is what makes Prabhupada so different from the other Vaishnava, branches, that Prabhupada was very, very restrictive. There's a very offensive philosophy going around, very offensive opinion that, Prabhupada gave us the basics. But once you are established, you have to advance further. That means automatically beyond Prabhupada. This rascal philosophy, I hear it occasionally again and again. And then people go, and this is where the other movements come in. They go, come, I will, Swamiji Prabhupada, very good. But I will show you more. Prabhupada gave us everything. And he said, once you are really established on the sadhana platform, everything else will be revealed to you. You don't explore it really. It will be revealed to you. Like Prabhupada, while singing Jaya Radha Madhava, which is a very confidential song. Every time I sing it, I sing like I should shut up. It's Prabhupada said the whole Vrindavan is in that song. And it was there where Prabhupada in public broke in ecstasy. He couldn't chant. He just broke. He was just crying and he couldn't finish the song. It's recorded. And devotees were shocked. They never saw Prabhupada like this. And then one devotee started to chant, there was silence. And Prabhupada says, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, just glorifying Prabhupada. And the other devotees were like, he's disturbing Prabhupada's ecstasy, So after that, the devotee said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, did I do some offense? I was disturbing your ecstasy. Prabhupada said, no, you did the right thing. You start to chant Hare Krishna. This is what devotees do when Lord Chaitanya went into his ecstasies. So you did the right thing. And then Prabhupada looked like a small boy who stole some candy. And he said, well, I don't do this too often, isn't it? He simply couldn't control it. That's the real ecstasy. You cannot control it. It just comes. It's coming. It's giving to you. It's revealed. I saw Prabhupada in the last stage of his presence with us in England. That's where Prabhupada, you could say, lost the control. He was, even medically spoken, he was dead. The doctor said, this body is completely dysfunctional. And Prabhupada said, let's go on traveling. I want to go to England. From England, he planned to go to Los Angeles on a worldwide tour with a completely dysfunctional body. So I had the privilege to see him very intimately and very privately in that shape. And that was not the Prabhupada I meditated upon. My Prabhupada is walking on a beach, and the only missing link is my foot in your face. That's Prabhupada preaching against the scientists. This was Prabhupada we meditated upon, our general, our leader of the army. And this was not the Prabhupada I saw in England. He was going from one ecstasy to another. Rocked, moved. The servants had nothing else to do as to wipe his tears. They were constantly with the cloth around them, wiping his tears. I am just sitting this close to his lotus feet in his small bedroom, because he couldn't walk. His body was just a skin and bone after months and months of fasting, but it was swollen, from dysfunctional kidneys. Just the whole poison thing, okay, this is... Prabhupada said, I feel like I'm poisoned. Prabhupada said, some said maybe I was poisoned. Oh, that gave a ground to a whole, big saying Prabhupada was poisoned. No, Prabhupada had dysfunctional kidney. He was functioning on one third of the kidney. One kidney was completely dysfunctional. Kidneys are like filters, they filter the poison in a body. And Prabhupada said that was exactly the way my father died. It's in a family. So, there's no proof for this kind of thing, but some people really like to shine in a public light. I know something you don't know. Prabhupada was poisoned. And it's really a poison. It spreads a mood around that, which is unnecessary. There was no need to poison Prabhupada. He killed himself by traveling. He killed himself for us by disregarding any medical advice. He really just squeezed the body to the last, and that's the last I saw. So his feet and his hands were very swollen. I was just sitting just like this. It was early morning. We arrived 10 o'clock in the morning, driving the whole night to England. First time I was in England, driving on the left side. I didn't care, just, okay, where's Bhaktivedanta Manor? Prabhupada is in Bhaktivedanta Manor. One devotee slept on my lap, and I was just driving, And then he drove the whole night, just ran, and arrived like around 10 o'clock in the morning in Bhaktivedanta Mandir. Somehow I found the place. And I was thinking, here we are! And I was a member of the German Yatra, which was at that time #1 in book distribution in the whole world. We defeated even the Americans. Yeah. So we jumped out over Sankirtan vans, Sankirtan ki jai, Prabhupada, we are here. But then we stopped immediately. Because the whole Bhaktivedanta Mandir, there must have been 300 devotees there, at least. It was completely quiet. I mean, silent. We were like, and we like, okay. So I walked in we just settled down and everybody was tiptoeing around, And then we just settled down and I went to the temple room, and in the middle of the day I chanted my Gayatri in a temple room, and then the door went open and there was Harikesha standing there, my GBC, and he was going, hey, come on, come on. And I was like, I'm chanting my Gayatri, and he was going, come on. So I just jumped up and followed him, the stairs up, to the first floor, and there, Bhaktivedanta Mandir. It's a relatively small place. So I just followed him, and then he pushed me in a room where Prabhupada was sitting there. It was me, Tamal Krishna, Bhaktivedanta Swami was there. Small place. It was hardly a place to sit down, and Prabhupada was there like this, sitting. They made like a chair you could pick up and carry him around like a palanquin. It's until today there, you can see it. And I was just, suddenly I have this close. And Harikesha introduced me. This is Manidhara, one of our leading book distributors in Germany. And then and Prabhupada was not, paying too much attention. I was glad for that. I would have run out of that room if he would really, personally turn to me. Prabhupada was, And then came the mail. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was a secretary, and he opened for Prabhupada the mail, different packages, letters, and he opened the mail, showed it to Prabhupada, and then when Prabhupada commented something, shortly he wrote the notes, because he was ultimately the one who could answer the mail. Prabhupada commented on your letter like this, and so I remember the first package he opened was the big envelope like this, and there was a big A4 size photos from Los Angeles Ratha Yatra. Prabhupada opened his eyes, and he looked at the photos and he said, even as a boy, I always wanted to have a Ratha like this, because he was organizing a small Ratha Yatra already as a boy. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj wrote it down. Then came another package, which was smaller, and there was some paperback publication of a new book. I don't know exactly what it was. I think it was Teaching of Lord Chaitanya in Spanish or something, I don't know. It was a paperback. And Prabhupada ran in ecstasy. His eyes opened, and his hands were going like this for the book. So he took the book out of the package, he gave it to him, and Prabhupada did something amazing. He took the book like this, and he was going like this. He was testing the binding. Because it happened before, they offered him a paperback book, he opened it and the paper fell out. So Prabhupada was testing the binding like this, and then he took the book like this, and he put it like this on his lap, and he was beaming with pride. So I remembered at that point that Prabhupada said, every time a book of mine gets published in some language, I feel like I conquered a universe, It was like, I was feeling this is like Mother Yashoda holding Krishna on her lap, it's just my book. I mean, in such a presence, in such a time, every second becomes like 1 hour. The time is completely different. It's intense. You get completely, every single Prabhupada was so intense. It was total silence outside this. And then in that silence, suddenly a bird was chirping outside, sitting on a tree of the window, like, and that's it. Prabhupada went immediately in ecstasy. His tears were coming from his eyes, and we realized he's not here anymore. He's in a spiritual world. Because there was no difference to him, a bird singing here or bird singing in a spiritual world. It's all Krishna's. So it was overwhelming. It was so intense. And then Prabhupada was like, then was the time, the mail was finished, so we just paid the businesses and walked out. Then, okay, I can go with this. It's just like a film, when I start this. And every time I talk about this, more details appear in my mind. It's so intense. And then, Prabhupada said, I want to see the German devotees. He heard the Sankirtan results. We were like, Prabhupada, we are coming! We had a very, very eccentric Sankirtan leader. I was also Sankirtan leader, but Germany was at that time, the Sankirtan was divided into two parties, the Nishinga League and the Govinda League. I was leader of the Govinda League. That was the Bhaktas and the softies, the people, hello. In Nishinga League, that was usually the guys who were chased by police, and really heavy. Really heavy. What they did on the street, I cannot even tell you. And the leader, he loved police chases, It was really like action movies, Helicopters in the sky, roadblocks, Because the guy already looked to me like just reincarnated Hitler, He was just, Sankirtan ki, His lectures were smashing. They stole Lakshmi from Nishingadev. We will return the Lakshmi back. Money, money. I mean, the man had fights on the street. He could distribute a huge amount of books, but don't ask me how. Hello, you know karate? No, I do. Take a book. I mean, outrageous when I think about this. Unthinkable today to do such a thing. And actually, later on our GBC, shortly after, he cut the whole thing. He called us in a meeting. That was late, just soon after in Germany. He called me, and him. He actually left the body 2 years ago in South America. Heavy guy. I was only a few days with him on Sankirtan. That was enough. I mean, it was enough. People will end up laying on the road, when, He really liked this, you can take my foot into your face, statement of Prabhupada. He practiced that. So it's just... So I was completely different league. We were just, they call us the puddings, But Hare Krishna called a meeting, angry. He was really angry. And he said, Maharama, another court case. He was going from one court case to the other. At the end, he had so many court cases, he could hardly get on the street. He had running court cases all the time. The man could beat up a whole police station, They had to put the handcuffs even on his feet. So, unbelievable man when I think about this. And Hare Krishna was angry. He said, another court case. And he was like, the demons, we have to finish the demons. And he pointed to me and said, why doesn't he have it, any court cases? And he was, well, they don't distribute so much, Yeah. So he said, now you are the Sankirtan leader. And it was like pulling a plug out of him. He just, And soon after he left for South America and basically started his own movement. He said, I like South America, We have different... I have a little machine gun, and this is South America, mafia, So he liked that. So this was the end of that period. But when Prabhupada was there, and I saw Prabhupada in the presence of him, you wouldn't believe this. So he was like, "We are here, Germans." The man could easily distribute 600 books in 1 week, just like that. I met people, I was sometimes distributing next town to him, because Germany is very densely populated. People coming in with a car, and I was stopping the car, "Hello," with a book, and they were like, "I met your friend in the last town." And they had on a back seat, Krishna book part 1, 10 books. Just lying in a back seat. He had a system how to hold the back mirrors, "Hello," when he stopped the car, "Hello, you like your mirror, isn't it? To take a book." Anyway, when I just thinking about this, it's so absurd today to talk about this even. So, Prabhupada was amazing. He said, "I want to see the German Sankirtan devotees. Everybody dashing, and our Sankirtan leader, Prabhupada, we are here. Heil Garanga." German. So actually, he was originally from Poland. I found much later on. Polish people are fighters, So anyway, Prabhupada was silent. We all piled up in front of him. It was a small room. Everybody jumped in. Prabhupada was just sitting like this, silent. We were all waiting. One word, one command, we are here. And suddenly Prabhupada dropped the bomb. In that silence, he goes, "Do you know the philosophy?" Everybody like, "Huh? What philosophy? Why is he asking about that?" Everybody totally confused. And in that confusion, a godbrother of mine, very specific person also, Harakadas, he just squeaked out, "Sarvadharma parinyaja mamikam sharanam vraja." Prabhupada said, "Yes." "What does it mean?" Silence. Nobody could dare to say something. Prabhupada was standing in a corner, and he explained it briefly. And Prabhupada was going, "Yes." That was the end of the meeting. We realized, okay, that's it. So we walked out and everybody was like, "What did he say? Philosophy?" Why, everybody was completely, "Philosophy? What philosophy? We are distributing books." So Prabhupada made a very heavy point. These books are also to be read, not just distributed. So it was clear to us on the spot. He knew exactly where the problem is. In Germany, the problem was never action, was never a problem. Action, but no brain. This is always a German problem. Action, action, arbeiten, arbeiten. But you get lost. And it's crashing, despite all the hard work. At the end, it's not much result even, because no brain. So, the Prabhupada knew it immediately. So, then, I think it was next day or the same day, I don't remember exactly, there was an emergency. Ambulance came. Everybody started to run around. The servants were running around. "Hot water, we need hot water." And then ambulance came, and they brought Prabhupada out and put him in an ambulance. And the ambulance drove off. We were just praying. Everybody ran to the temple room, chanting, "Namaste, Narasingha," praying like anything. And then after a few hours, the ambulance came back again, and they put Prabhupada in his room. He had some blockage in his urinary, path. So, because we said Prabhupada can leave any minute, but nobody wanted to talk about it. We said, no, this is just a crisis. Prabhupada will recover and he will be with us forever. That was the idea. Nobody could even think that Prabhupada will ever go. That thought didn't exist. So in the morning they brought him to Guru Puja down, actually to deity greeting first. And that was the most spectacular deity greeting I ever saw. There's a photo of Prabhupada sitting like in front of the deities. And he had this funny sunglasses. Somebody got him some funny sunglasses. And then the curtain went open. Govindam, Haripurusham. Everybody was, ah! The whole temple room. Why? Because Radharani was going like this, looking on Prabhupada. Just everybody could see it. I'm not so much into the deity revelations, sometimes the gown falls down because it was not properly made. Oh, ecstasy, I saw it. Gonita is dancing. No, it's just the pujari didn't, it fell down. So I'm not so much into this, but this was very evident. This was very clear. So that was spectacular. And then came Guru Puja. And this was very grave, Shri Guru Charana Padma. Prabhupada didn't like it. He was sitting on this, on this chair. They put him there in front of the Vyasasan. He didn't like it. So his hands were going like this. Dance. As he was going like this, it was like a wave going through the devotees. Everybody was suddenly on the ceiling, just by movements of his hands, like this. And the devotees were like, and just, and Mridangas were going, it became ferocious kirtan. It was so mad, devotees were jumping, and Bhaktivinoda Menon, the roof the ceiling is like here, it's not very high. It was devotees touching the ceiling, they were just flying high, and I saw scenes. I was standing like 45 degrees from Prabhupada. I looked at that, it's not such a big temple room. It was packed. The Mataji was usually stuck in the back, they were jumping. It was just, in 1 second, the whole thing was up on the ceiling. I remember there was an old English Mataji, pious lady. She brought flowers for Prabhupada to offer it, on a Guru Puja. It was a bucket full of white lilies, these big white lilies. And she was there. Well, I was going, whoa, whoa. She was also jumping up like mad, Old lady. And then she realized she will never make it in front to give the flowers to Prabhupada. So with an incredible force, she took the whole thing and she threw it all over the devotees from the corner direction Prabhupada. And the devotees were catching these lilies, were flying, and some lilies made it all the way to Prabhupada. There was a reporter, some newspaper reporter. He had a camera installed in the middle of the craziness, and he had camera installed making some documentation. He didn't record anything. He was crying. Coming. He was just, he was gone. He was completely, So that was the Guru Puja. And then there are much more stories I could tell now. We don't have so much time. But this happens when you come in touch with pure devotees in his Anjalila period. It's Prabhupada basically just came to say bye-bye, And we knew he was always there in the spiritual world. Just mercifully was relating to us, but he had his own life. He had his own ecstasies. So that's how you get introduced to Rasa Lila. By the mercy of a pure devotee, we can get a little glimpse of that. But these people, they don't talk about pure devotee. They sing, I am here. I came from Rasa Lila, and I am in Rasa Lila. I can show you. Just give me 50 rupees, okay? Thank you very much. Cheaters. So no need to indulge in this direction. We again adjust, and therefore Prabhupada is considered by these people like basic, because he says the same thing over and over again. Control your senses, control your mind. First serve, and then de-serve. This is Prabhupada's policy. There's no need even for us to, we can read about it, okay, but I just met in Split an Indian dancing lady. Some of the devotees invited her. I don't know where she came from. She's living in South India. Professional dancing lady, Kathak dance. This is old traditional dancing form for the deities. Definitely a Vaishnavi, definitely a devotee. And she was not a Sahajiya type, no. She did it simply as a service. She grew up with this. This was her life. She had a dancing guru, parampara. Very humble to devotees. She didn't claim to be part of Rasalila or something like this. But it was very intimate issues, of course. Not to be understood by public, no. But it was like a culture performance, yes. People like dance, It was actually, Kathak dance is like a pantomime. It's actually, you are playing Kathak. Dance comes from Katha. It just tells stories. Krishna went here and then he did that and this and that, and it's all in a form of dance. But completely inaccessible, the issue to public actually. But people go and look and, oh, dance, very nice, very cultured. It's very discreet dance. It's not this like Bharatnatyam, Bharatnatyam is a little bit like karate, Like, heavy mode of passion there, This came much later, and it's already flavored by entertainment. People like action, Dang, 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 bang, 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 bang. No, Kathak and Odissi, this is the first traditional forms. They are very gentle, very discreet, very, mode of goodness. But it's heavy. When you look in details, it's heavy when you study this. This is heavy exercise, the dance. Every gesture is a meaning. It's a name to it. It's all precise according to the catalogue. So anyway, I won't go into that. But, I don't know. It's nice to look at it, but what do we have to do with that? Sorry. And how can you transmit it to people? Stand there with the sausage on a corner and Rasalila, come on. So first, we are not this body. Second, life comes from life. Third, there is action and reaction law of karma. This is the issues people have to understand. And we too. Do we really understand the law of karma? Well, if we would, then we would act sometimes as we do, isn't it? Mistreating people. We would be much more careful. Because for action, there's a reaction. So, yeah. So, law of karma, we are not this body. Life comes from life, origin of life. All these things, our books are full of the subjects, wonderfully explained, by Prabhupada. And we can think about this over and over again because we didn't get really 100% the point. If you would understand there is a supreme control, Krishna is Anumanta Upadrashta, sitting in the heart, observing us all the time. Would we do sometimes things we do? Not really, isn't it? If Prabhupada would come personally now, here, around the corner, would we do what we are doing? Well, that much I can think. I don't know anything about Rasalila, but I know if Prabhupada would come around the corner, he wouldn't like some things to see. That I can say very clearly and boldly. And there are people who are like doing their thing, in the name of Krishna consciousness. things which clearly Prabhupada defined being obnoxious and not befitting the message he gave and the mission he gave us. We can start with altruistic activity, you know. Can you imagine I have to hear a man saying, opening a hospital, and he's saying, this is Prabhupada's mercy. Look, we are helping blind people. This is Prabhupada's mercy. Prabhupada said, never bring me to a hospital, you know that? When I told him, what about the hungry children in Africa? Prabhupada said, yeah, we distribute prasadam, what's the problem? Yeah, but they are still dying, the hungry children. It was a reporter. Prabhupada said, they will all die. Finished. The man was shocked. Because the karma is like this. Die, die. You will die. It doesn't matter if you are feeding him or not, he will die. Because this is karma. What can we do with the people who don't accept Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada said they will go to hell. But how can we save them? Prabhupada said we cannot. If they don't take it, they go to hell. Simple as that. So we are offering, people take or not. Not all. We cannot control this. But we could try to offer it as best as we can. Something else? Maybe, I don't know.
The conclusion is that we cannot say that, is it conclusion that we cannot say directly book distribution is rasa dance?
Huh?
Then conclusion of your answer, is it that we cannot say book distribution is same like rasa dance? Or
it is. But what is this to do still with us? Let's say you got a driving license, just a primitive example, and somebody offers you a real luxurious car. You have a driving license, maybe you can drive the car, but still it doesn't belong to you.
Okay.
You are just a driver. You know? So Prabhupada gave us a license to present Krishna consciousness, but doesn't make us participants in Rasa Leela automatically. No. He gave us a credit very mercifully. You can also become a preacher. But it doesn't mean you are already there. I can quote my old GBC, and he went down because of this, and he struggled with this whole life. He said, well, we got informed in Krishna consciousness, we know where we came from, isn't it? From garbage can. That's actually where most of us came, garbage can. Okay? We are the representative of the Varna Shankara. Yeah. That's how we entered Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said you should never forget that. So he said, we know where we come from. We know where we should go to. Golokadam. Rasa Leela. Why not? The problem is we don't know where we are now. That's the challenge. Just because we have the information where to go, it doesn't mean we are already there. So the real important task is to understand where we are now. And that requires some introspection, some honesty. You know, why should we present ourselves? And we think, no, this was one of the essential mistakes after Prabhupada. I can say it now straight, it's recorded, but this is why we got so much trouble. Because it was concluded, Prabhupada left a list of 11 names. That was the beginning, not the end. But it was presented like this is the end. Prabhupada divided himself into 11. We have 11 Prabhupads now. I was there when this preaching was going on. I went first time to Mayapur, 1978. It was 11 Vyasasans, like this, small ones. Everybody was in the program. I just wrote it down on my webpage, the memories of that. You know, All 11 gurus dancing together in a kirtan. I was going, wow! And the pain of losing Prabhupada was projected into these 11 names. You know what a pressure that is? And some flipped out. It's not true that there were just 11 guys waiting to take over. Maybe some, but not all. I was personally present. One of these 11, they had to look for him. He was hiding in South America, didn't want to come out. He said, "Are you crazy? Me? Sitting now like Prabhupada? And come on." I can quote you all GBC Hare Krishna. He said, "Shh, take it easy." He made like this. Let's start like this with the Vyasa-san and see how we are doing. Okay? That was the beginning. I was there when first Guru Puja was performed to him. You know, it was still God brothers and first kind of disciples standing there. He flipped out. In the middle of the Guru Puja, he just dropped the cardles and ran away to his little room, and he was crying, he was screaming, "I'm not Prabhupada, you are nuts, you're all nuts." He flipped out. Yeah. But then there was those who were preaching, we cannot lower the standard of Guru worship. People will lose faith. We have to keep the standard. Possibly higher the standard. Then came these huge Vyasa-sans in a swan form, and just, His Divine Grace is coming. And they were empowered. There were still things going on today nobody can dream about. People were still joining, money was coming in, all this book distribution was going sky high. I mean, I saw really Hare Krishna explosion, But I didn't know that this is just the echo. It's just echoing Prabhupada. And the echo was silence. There's not complete silence, but not much. From the Hare Krishna explosion, sometimes I find only dust. Sorry, but I'm a little bit the historical witness. But to be part of something like this was, and there were warning signs. They were like, no, please, let's become real. Where are we now? This is what I mean. Where are we now? But the pressure was very heavy. Some got broken by the pressure. Hare Krishna is one of them. They got just... And he hated that at the end. He hated himself sitting here. And he said, I'm too out of it. Leave me alone. No, it could not possible. By 3,500 disciples, who will leave you alone? And there was a pressure. Because why? There was so much money rolling around. Money! You cannot lose the money now. This is Vaishya thinking. So there was money coming, and there was money collected in a most unbelievable way. I think Croatia has its own history, isn't it? Did you ever do some paraphernalia, heavy distribution here? What was it?
Painting is also.
Paintings, right? You also had your painting period, right? We collected with 15 Matajis, with paintings, the Swedish farm cash in 1 month. One Mataji, $1,000 profit a day. That's $15,000 a day. Hello, here we go. Pure profit. The bank was going, oh, you want to buy this big farm? We can borrow your money. He said, no, we are buying it cash. Just like this. Not one single one of these Matajis is living today on that farm, and they are still alive. Not very good. And the lifestyle connected to that? 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you go out with a big roll of paintings, it's heavy stuff. So these girls were dragging it through snow and dark, Scandic nights, ringing on people's bells. Hello, We have some nice paintings for you. We went to Norway. Even Swedish people joke about Norwegians. You can sell even an old Christmas tree to a Norwegian. That's a Swedish joke. So we're like, oh, original oil paintings, really. You know how they paint them? They have 2 rolls of canvas running like this in Hong Kong, and there's a bunch of guys sitting there, and he's painting the sky, he's painting the ocean, he's painting the boat, and it rolls on like this. It's mass production. They're copies of the paintings, you know. They can copy anything. They are very smart, these guys. So we were like, original oil paintings. I was framing this stuff. I'm coming from the artist background, but I could paint 1,000 paintings in one night. I can paint a painting, you know, all painting, you know, just bang, 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 bang. And you have a framed painting hanging on a wall. People were happy because, you know, sometimes the framing was more expensive as the painting for them when they went to the professional gallery. So, you know, so we were selling this by tons until the Norwegian police came. That's another story. So, you know, it was all... And what is left from that? 4 o'clock in the afternoon you go out. That's sadhana, really, you know. And you are distributing until 10 at night. That's before they go to sleep. Before you come back is midnight. You count the money and all this, and you go to sleep. You wake up next day, 6, 7 o'clock, have some little program, eat something, get ready, and then pack your new paintings and then go out 4 o'clock again. And you get lots of money. When you get money, you think, wow, you know. Some devotees continued with that later on without collecting for the temple. Because they got the taste, money, quick money. You know? And then girls alone in dark nights going door to door. These Scandic areas are vast, you know, they have space. So they have a big villas, big houses spread out in a vast areas in a darkness. You know how dangerous that is? Somehow never anything really happened to these girls. Only once, I remember. Kaushalya Devi does. She just went into the house and men said, come in, yeah, oh, paintings, very nice. And then he locked the door. And she just looked at him and she said, open the door. And he was going, wow. You know, the poor guy, he hit the wrong one. She was one of the champion ladies in biathlon, you know, sport discipline in Scandinavia. It was, you know, it's the swimming, running, you know. She was still in a good shape. So I asked her, what happened? He said, I don't know, the guy was lying there. He didn't move anymore. She broke his jaw. He said, the only problem, I couldn't find the key, he locked the door. So I knocked out the door too. Just knocked out the door and walked out. That was, you know. So that was the only incident I remember, but otherwise dangerous. So this is all connected to this compromise type of, and it was always advertised, this is only for emergency, this is right now. We buy the farm and then we start Vedic Varnashrama society based on Hong Kong distribution paintings. Okay? And the chief manager, the Swami, is a chief banker. He's a banker, you know. He's shifting out millions. The Swamiji is a big Swami with big money. So Prabhupada said Swami means no money. Just live, preach, live in the mercy of us. Bhaktisiddhanta was very heavy with this. When he realized his sannyasis are after money, name and fame, he left the planet. Prabhupada said it. That's what Prabhupada described. He said, don't repeat this. Isolate this. But anyway, okay, yeah, I'm just talking, okay? But there's lessons to be learned. So, it pays off in the long term to keep things simple and pure. Simple living, high thinking. That's our offer to people. You don't need that much money for that. Even we appreciate, and Prabhupada did appreciate, if somebody brought lots of money, he said, why not? We know what to do with it. But brahmachari, sannyas, all this, no. This is the power of brahmacharya and ashram, and power of sannyas. You get money, Prabhupada said, Brahmana gets money, 1 million in the morning, in the evening he has nothing. It's all, sorry, I have no money, can you give more? It's why he's begging. Begging is keeping you down. Humble. Please, can you give more? But I gave you $1 million yesterday. Well, sorry, it's all gone for Krishna, finished. Can you give me more? I collected in 15 years with books approximately around 3.5 million euros in pure profit. It's easy to calculate when you know how many books a week in average. It's all gone, finished. Do I look miserable? No. And I know people who have millions of dollars in private bank accounts in the name of Krishna consciousness and in a renounced order of life. They are quite miserable, you know that? They're not very happy people. Because they always worry what to do with the money. What to do. I can tell them what to do with the money. I could be a good financial advisor. We need new Sankirtan cars. We need care for all the devotees who still want to preach and do devotional service. Stop this ISKCON meat grinder, one way in, one way out. We have to take care of all the devotees who really want to serve. We have to take care of devotees who are in desperate need, running to social welfare offices for help. It's embarrassing. That's where the money could go. Or we need to finance young generation of devotees, offer them help, constructive help, not blind help. We have a program here, join in. Costs money, that costs all money. And above all, let's print more books and give out books. Tons of them. Sankirtan devotees should have the best care, the best cars, the best thing. And no worry for the future. In Germany, they had a social welfare for all Sankirtan devotees. It was cancelled. You have to live depending on Krishna. So is Krishna supposed to suffer always because of our stupidity? God helps those who help themselves. So let's do something about it. I could go for a long time like this, raging around. It's getting late. No, it's not needed. There's so many wonderful ways to spend money. Oh, if somebody would give me $5 million, I would know what to do with it. And you know what? At the end, I would again sit in a car and driving around, having nothing. Because it keeps me down. It keeps me a little bit, I'm not humble, but I have not many means to show some opulence. That's good. For me, very good. Still sometimes I think I have too much. I try to get rid of things and then it comes back again. Okay. Anyway, it's just simple principle. We want lots of money. I know how to spend it. And then I can tell you how the money gets spent sometimes and how it looks like. The public gets aware of this. They have a saying, you preach water and drink wine. You know? This is the hypocrisy Prabhupada warned us. Don't do this. Listen to his opening lectures of Krishna Balaram Mandir when the temple got opened. Heavy stuff. So don't make it to a money-making machine. This is for preaching. Everything is for preaching. And some people make money, whatever way. You know. Yeah, okay, sure. Thank you very much for the donation. We are the money purifying movement, not the money collecting movement. Anyway, okay, it's getting late. I guess everybody present here knows what I'm talking about, and I think you are quite, I'm not going to investigate into your economy, but probably you are not really a multimillionaire, isn't it? Not really, huh?
I'm always in debt.
Huh?
I'm always in debt.
This was Bhaktisiddhanta's policy. He kept purposefully the temples always in debt. So they nobody can stick up the head too much. But you know how to do that. I'm scared of debt because they will roll over me. But I know devotees like you, and there is another one in Sweden. Oh, he is the acharya on debts. He is a professor of mathematics. He knows how to calculate the interest and how to shift the debts around. One debt is covering the other debt. And by the way, you have a 500,000 profit. You know, like, my God, he knows how to play the game. I'm going, wow. And he goes, it's just a question of counting, you know. You cannot imagine the calculation they can make the man in a hat. I know 1 and 1 is 2, that much I know. But he is just, you know, this and that, and then shifting this bank, that bank. I went to bank with him. He goes there with the house shoes, you know. Simple dressed. He's actually living very simply. You know, he said, I'm just a caretaker here of the loans. The man, you go with him in a forest, he comes back and he has a 500,000 profit. I said, how did you do that? He goes, just thinking mathematics, you know. This is unbelievable. This is very rare devotees and very valuable because they can help so much. He helped me so much in times of need because I don't have a brain for this, and also I'm lazy. You know, I get some money and I go, well, yeah, it's enough to tank the car. I go from one gas station to the other. You know, this. But he is like, he said, my numbers also have to have many zeros behind, you know. This is his policy. For him, 10 is, you add the zeros, it's 1 million. That's him. And he said, it's like a card house. He said, one mistake, the whole thing falls, goes down. But he doesn't make that mistake. And by the end of the day, he goes, Krishna, thank you. Because he's a devotee. Krishna, thank you that I didn't make the mistake. His fancy time, you know where he enjoys most? When he makes a tax declaration. You know why? Because he's getting refund from the government, you know, for expenses, you know, and all this. And he knows how to play the whole game. He knows all the system. So the government has to pay to him. And he still didn't make 1 penny profit. Poor guy. It's all expenses, you know. Sorry, no taxes. That's expert. That's a real expert. The man turns around, like he has estates around for 16 million euros, But it's all, it's all, actually it's gambling. It's actually gambling. But he was Hare Krishna's closest financial advisor. I think he was involved with this temple. Nothing Hare Krishna did was without his approval. Hare Krishna was smart enough to always have him as a close by. Because Hare Krishna was not such a good financial man, People thought he's the genius. No, not really. He had a good advisors. He knew who to ask. It was very pragmatic. So anyway, we need devotees like this. They do most valuable service. Because most devotees, they have no idea. Just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay. And it's also very nice, but we need devotees like this. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Manidhara Prabhu ki jai.